Kids are being taken one by one. Family is broken apart. The world keeps moving on. Nobody here to fight. Where are the warriors? Where are the dads? Where are the mothers? This is so sad. I know a place where warriors are made. It's a podcast of true family fighters. You need to listen tonight. Tiff and the Punisher coming for CPS. Tiff and the Punisher, be our next guest. CPs took your children, chased your husband away, left you alone and vulnerable. Let me hear you say, Tiff and the Punisher coming for CPS. Tiff and the Punisher, be our next guest. Do not be afraid, wipe your tears away. We need to come together, it's our time. To need to tell your friends, watch the show. If CPS comes, this is where you go. They won't win this war against us. This is our crew, we have your trust. Advocates unlock the others. They care for us, they hold us up high. They make us feel important. Others pass us by. Tiff and the Punisher, Tiff and the Punisher, coming for CP. Tiff and the Punisher, Tiff and the Punisher, be our next
We know it's all about the money, we know they lie, we know this is corruption. Does CPS know what they are doing to the children?
Tiff and the Punisher, they won't back down. Fight for the children in every town. They are taking our kids every day. A child of men and no one has a thing to say for those who have been isolated. Don't be worried, you have a voice today. So listen up everyone, here is the story. Child Protective Services is your radio. CPS is what they call it. They want our kids because it fills a lot of people's wallet. We all think it won't be us. We say when they come we will be so tough. It all sounds good when there's no one to take them. But when they come, your voice gets to breaking. Stay calm, step away. CPS ain't taking no one today. We are educated. Stay calm, step away. CPS, you need to leave. I know the tricks up your sleeves. You can't do what you're trying to do. We have done our homework. Don't do a damn thing without a warrant. You no longer will steal our kids this way. Tiff and the Punisher have come for the calling. They are giving us the CPS warning. Their voice is loud and clear. We stop losing our kids this year. Tiff wants to fight the entire planet. She is tired of our kids being taken, goddammit. She's been fighting CPS for 30 years, bringing children home from this disgusting mess. The Punisher is screaming out loud, abolish CPS and tear it down. I want all our kids to come back. Look at all those kids' pictures held up like thin tags. Together we are stronger than we need. We will tear down CPS with high speed. We will do so much being together. Birds of a feather flock together. So watch out CPS, here we come. Picking you one by one. We promise to bring back the family and prosecute the caseworkers unhandily. So give us back the kids you have taken. Tiff and the Punisher sending you all on vacation. The one with bars in the windows and the only games you play are on Nintendos. Corruption in courts, here we come. We won't stop until it's done. You judges need to learn what you stand for. This is Tiff and the Punisher warrior. We cry out to all of you out there. We need support for a cause that many don't care.
I guess we froze. So, happy pre-Halloween, everybody. Since there's Darren.
I am gonna call this Xfinity people. I swear to the love of gosh, that's all that's freaking holy. This is just absolutely asinine. I pay for the highest degree of internet that we can possibly get here, so I don't have to deal with these situations. And you know what? Look at what we had to deal with here tonight. Someone was brilliant, having a great time jiving to that tune, and it's just, so I apologize. I apologize very much for that.
Oh my God, Debbie! I hope he's okay. My little one's sick too, so Gunnar might have to jump on. But he doesn't have a fever yet, thank God. So we'll pray for your grandson.
Yes, we will, Debbie. We don't like sick kids around here for sure.
No.
I don't even know what this is going to be looking at. There we go.
Look at Darren in his fur coat.
Yes, my new fur coat, baby. Isn't it nice?
Looking like the American gangster.
Pimp, baby, we pimp, You guys think of the fur coat? Do you love it? I love this new one. For the past couple of years, I've rocked brown. I went with the gray, and I dig the gray. What do you think? I need a shave.
It's nice.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it is. It's very nice. Boy, there's a lot going on, and I don't know whether to get. I don't know what to do here. I don't know what direction to head. I don't know which way to. I don't know. I don't know what to do here. Maybe we need since our. Oh, I know what the problem is. It's because Dana's not here. That's why. Maybe that's what the problem is here. I'm all out of sorts. But you know what? Let's take 1 second here while I fix something, and let's just. Here you go, Debbie. This is for you.
Never been a perfect person. I put the cart before the horse. A list of reasons, long as sermons, why I never needed a God. Then I heard his voice, so sweet, it put me on my knees. I'm holding on to hope for dear life, with God driving, and I'm finally free at last. God driving, God driving.
All right, there we go. That was for you, Debbie. You too, Ashley. That was a little prayer moment for you guys in case you needed that. Because, look, guys, here's the deal. We're in a war that none of us had the answer to winning. We are in a war that we were never meant to fight. We're in a war that no one even has an answer or a playbook for. We're in a war where the majority of the people that should be fighting with us aren't here to fight. I mean, we're people with sticks and stones going up against aircraft carriers. We don't have a lot of power behind us. And then the people that do come in here trying to give us a fighter or a fighting chance, they all end up being pieces of shit. And they come in here and they take away hope, that what little bit of hope any of us have left, and we devote all of our time and our energy to them and think that they're going to lead us in a direction that's going to get our kids home, that's going to get us financially, taken care of because of what's happened to us. I mean, they lead us into all of these directions, and none of them are coming through. None of them have come through. This is where you need to use yourselves, your own discernment, and you need to realize that you're fighting an impossible battle. If you win, you're lucky. If you win, you paid attention and you played it right. The chances of survival in this fight to come out at the end unscathed and with your children is slim to none. We know this by statistics, but you have a chance. So to have people be able to come out, rile you up, pull you out of your closet, put you in the driver's seat again, to have one last good fight in you, and to let you down is wrong, because they knew from the start of that fight that you can't promise people. You cannot promise anybody anything in this fight with CPS. One, we know it's unconstitutional. That in itself should be enough to say that we win. But we can't account for the corruption that goes on in these courts. We can't account for the money that's going on with these people behind the scenes. We have no idea about the amount of money that is actually going through and filtered through the system. We're dealing with probably the oldest, I guess you would even say, a pastime, is human trafficking. And that's exactly what's happening with these kids here. They're taken away. They're kidnapped. They're taken away. They are sold. They are bought. These are our children here on American soil. When CPS comes, they kidnap your children, right? Then they take them out. They are paid, incentivized to take them, right? So there's that part of it. And then the people that receive your children are being paid for that. So that's trafficking. I don't even know what the Black's Law Dictionary says about it for a definition, or what any other thing says about it. But to me, Tiff, that's trafficking. Oh, she got a cough drop.
I have to keep my mic on mute. It is trafficking, right? Because you're selling a human being. And you're right. Guess what? The slave owners did it. So it's right up there with prostitution and gambling, right? Because the slave owners sold and broke families up. So it's no different. So they're trafficking kids just like they trafficked families back when there were slaves.
Mm-hmm. Gunner, you got something to say about this, I see. You're muted. All right, Classic CPS Corruption says the father of 5 boys that she's advocating for is a big win in court, expecting his babies to be returned December 2nd. All right, that's good stuff. Good stuff. Good for you, Classic CPS Corruption. You are awesome. Congratulations. You should feel really, really, really good about this. That's awesome.
That's a win.
That's a W. No matter how you look at it, no matter how you see it, that's a W. I cannot even imagine what it must be like to know that your kids are coming home in a month and now having to wait that time. Like every day must be just a freaking. I mean, just the fact alone that you know that your kid's coming home is awesome, but to imagine this day in and day out and day in and waiting, I mean, that must be the longest time forever. I don't know what Gunnar is going to say here, but I'm kind of like trying to hold on to him in the conversation so he could say something. He's very well deep in thought right now. There you go. There you are.
Now?
Yes, sir. We can hear you now.
Okay. Having some issues here with the audio thing is messing with. Yeah, it's as old as time, but that was one of the foundational things for our country of why we broke away. It's actually one of the foundational things of giving the opportunity to have our families, have our futures in a different aspect without having government overreach or, a religion or a government or anything to actually have true freedom. Recently, you guys have noticed about the national parks actually being closed down lately, and even in Yellowstone, there's nobody there to watch this stuff, and now you've got people that are doing base jumping and this and that's not even allowed in the park, and they're like, oh, look at all these people doing foolish shit. I go, no, actually, it's true freedom. It's true freedom because you're doing things without restrictions or this or that, or a government or somebody saying no, you can. And the concept is, if I'm stupid enough to do something that will actually get me killed and only get me killed and injure me, I have every right to do that too.
Yeah.
And there's the concept within a lot of other things, even with a lot of our laws and so on and so forth. These are meant to protect the people, but does it restrict your freedoms? I mean, that's the major concept. If we truly lived under the Constitution, there wouldn't be any restrictions other than the fact that if I've hurt somebody or I've damaged somebody's property, the rest of it, nothing else matters. if I want to do this or do that or take on, a sport or do something extremely dangerous or this, whatever it may be, there's risk. But we assume those risks. We know those risks. So long as we're well informed, there shouldn't be any issue with that. I mean, and that goes into a lot of things, all the way from um, people that use and all this other stuff. Well, now we've got this, and now we got. You know what? Why are we bringing people back alive? And there's the other concept that obviously want to die. I mean, some of the things, especially with the drugs and some of the hard, fentanyl and some of these other things, if you know the risk and you decide you want to take that risk and this and that, why are you holding on to those things? Well, they have a right. No, they're choosing. Why are you taking away their right or their choice? I mean, if it's that bad, well, they could get this. Maybe they don't want to. There's the beauty of our country. If I choose not to. I can choose to. I can choose not to. But once again, when the government makes that decision, or a religious institution makes that decision for me, the whole concept is we're persuaded. We had this. I had this conversation just the other day. That a lot of people, and I've heard this a lot. I don't understand why God allows this, why God does this, or God tolerates this and that. I go, people missed out on the one pivotal thing. It's not God. God gave us free will, the right to choose. So it's not God's fault.
Right.
It's our fault. Take accountability for this shit.
Yeah.
This world would be a better place if people had more accountability and responsibility for their own damn actions. God's not going to intercede with something he's willing to freely let you choose. He's going to say, here you go, here's life. Now choose. Your creator has given you this choice. Now this is our founding fathers understood that. Because you understood God's law. You understood things that were natural. Hey, if you want to go out there and do something, there's a lot of things we did even when we were younger. Even our grandparents did. There was no helmets. There was no pads. There was none of this other stuff. But we still did it. Well, we're afraid of this. Why am I living in fear? But when I go back to those same people that call themselves Christians and this and that, and they go, well, I do this, well, I have fear. If you truly believe that and you believe what's written, doesn't it say, I do not give you the spirit of fear, but yet of a sound mind? Then what do you got to be afraid of?
Mm-hmm.
Fear doesn't come from your creator. It comes from man. But people don't want to have that conversation because it's easier to blame somebody else than it is to take accountability for stuff. And this goes back with the same thing that the government's overreaching with CPS and all these other things to say we know better than you. Our psychologists, our studies, and this and that. Name one of them damn bastards that even had a fucking kid. A teenager, a toddler that changed the diapers, that was up with the kid. You weren't up with my kid when they had, we're talking about a fever with the kid. We know what this mother's going through, grandmother's going through. Going to be up and down all night. It's going to be a long night. It's going to be a long couple days. I don't see them coming over the house over here and volunteering to babysit, make sure they're hydrated, make sure that, they're staying cool, that you're taking care of everything, that their body temperature staying cool, they're staying hydrated, they're getting nutrients and all these other things and stuff like that. I don't see the government showing up for that shit. But they like it when it profits them. But you don't want to do the dirty work. You don't want to change the shitty diapers. And we're seeing, a lot of this stuff. Tiff and I were talking before the show. We're seeing this thing with SNAP and Section 8 going away, and we were talking. I said, you mark my words, watch what happens. Because here's what's going to happen. They're going to make you use your own money to do what RFK is doing, is the reset of all of our food and get rid of the dyes. And this, what a great time to what we call in the manufacturing industry retooling. That takes about a month, 2 months. They've got it down to retool these machines and redo them, but they're not going to do it with government money. They're going to do it with your money. Because then they can say, oh, look, we did it without government aid. But watch all these products, and I was telling Tiff, I said, watch these products go on sale. Watch all these products go then to clearance. And then as all this comes to a close in the next couple of months, oh, look, we've changed. Guess who paid for it? Yeah, you and I. If you're buying that junk, then you're going to see another shift in CPS. Why? Now you can't afford to pay for your kids. Go ahead, sign up for these programs. Is that you know what that does? They're directly connected with CPS. Those programs. They're going to come knocking on your door. Wait a minute, you can't afford to feed your kids? You're struggling and this and that? You need intervention. Obviously, you're not doing it good. How do I control what the economy is doing? Well, Section 8 and SNAP programs are temporary programs, except for unless you're disabled. That's the way they were written, not a lifestyle. I hate to tell you that. It's in the actual bills and acts themselves. They're temporary. They're meant for the indigent, those that cannot and never can. But they're supposed to do it, and once again, you're seeing how that's been abused. Because what was it? They took off over 800,000, I think the Trump administration said, of the illegals that were on Section 8 that are now going to lose their housing.
And food stamps and medical insurance.
We've been paying for this. And people say, well, this country can't this, that. They didn't put in. They're not indigent. And half of them you'll see around here, and I tell you this, and you'll see them do it. And some people come here and play this system really, really good. You'll have people from different that own gas stations and this and that. Dana, how come you ain't in here, man? I'm covering for you. Get in here. There he is in the comments. Uh-oh, he bid us good night. He says communication so far, no response. Okay. I don't know. I don't have your information, Dana, but however it is, I'm sure that we can get some information to get you a link to get in here.
Darren, send Dana the link.
He's got the link.
He's saying it's not working. He says all communications there's no response or something. Something's going on there.
Try him again.
Back here. All right. So, guys, you're going to see this, but then you're going to see this. Why? Then you're going to see fathers going in here, especially fathers, with the way the court system has been done, going back into the court saying, wait, Mama can't now has lost her Section 8 and her thing as far as something else. She can't afford these kids. Now you're going to see that reversal to where they're going to go back in and they're going to get custody of these kids. But now CPS is going to be involved to where they're going to do the transition and the monitoring and all this other stuff that they do, because they definitely want their cut in their money. I don't need you. It's voluntary. But once again, they're going to shove it down. Your Honor, we feel that, they need to take and have this particular thing in here, and our services are definitely needed for this person. You're selling it to the judge that works also for the state. It's a conflict of interest. This is why it's voluntary. Call me wrong. But you're going to watch all this transpire all through the next couple months. And it's a reset. And once again, it's a shift of power.
Yeah, it is a reset. And I think I want to say Henry said that. Oh my God. Henry said that somebody that he knows said this is going to last through January.
Well, the House is supposedly not supposed to reconvene until January is what was announced.
Okay. Well, I found out last night that after 60 days, if the government is still shut down, all the federal employees are fired. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Furloughed, yeah.
So then what's going to happen? We should be able to rebuild our government.
Well, it is a forced way to put people from the government sector back into the private sector. 100%. But the thing is do you really need them? And it's a way that it can be done to start to filter away these programs and organizations that do not need to exist. There's no reason for it. And people are going to experience your people will suffer with a few things here and there, but you're also going to experience some great freedoms. Why? Because There's nobody there. And the other part is eventually with some of the other things through there, they're going to cut some of the other fundings or redirect them. And when it comes down to it, they survive. A lot of states survive 60% or more of your state's revenue, according to statistics published, is coming from the federal government. Well, what happens when there's no money? Now, all of a sudden, the sheriff's department starts shaving deputies and turning them into reserves. Now the hospitals go down in their people, and the money with insurances change, and now there's a whole new thing of reorganization. And now I saw the funny. And now I'm going to poke a little fun at this. That people say that you know uh, well, how do I put this properly for the air? Um, temporary relationship statuses, the price of it will go down tremendously due to the fact what used to be $200 now is $20. Why? Because nobody's going to spend that kind of money on that stuff, and it's unrealistic. And you're going to push a lot of people back into relationships that I was solo, and now I've got somebody. We saw the same thing happen during COVID-19. All of a sudden, the people that were out of work was people that never could get a date before, all of a sudden had a relationship, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, or anything else with somebody that had a job because there was nothing there. And all of a sudden, as soon as all that money came back and the work came out, what happened? All those people got dumped. It's human nature, people. Whether you like to talk about it or not, humans are going to be humans, and they're going to find a way to survive. And trust me, with people saying, "Oh well, now a guy with a really good job, single guy," let me tell you something. He may take on 2 or 3 different women, and just keep them around just enough. Now you're going to look down on something. That's not rap. Opportunist, the same way with a woman that's got a great job and has this and that. It flows both ways nowadays. But people are going to do what survives. And the oldest profession in human history will come back alive like it always does during these times. And it's not going to be going after what? Because the market is flooded now. Nobody's going to want, and and here's the other thing they're not going to like. It's not going to be going towards children. It's going to be going towards other women. Because now that market is flooded to where those that said no before are now going to say yes. Now, you may not like what I have to say, but it's the truth. And it's happened every time during history. People that, and not just women, it'll be men too, that will, once again, connect with people that have better jobs. Why? Because they want a better life. And if you can't earn it, well, you attach you to somebody that has a better one. As they say, either get a job or find somebody that has a job. But you're going to see a lot of people mending fences. But once again, you're also going to see a lot of people that have burned bridges when they try to go back, and they're going to go, "Oh, hell no. The shit you put me through. You deserve every bit of what you've got." Guys, it's truth. But see, there's where there's accountability for your actions before, that because you couldn't be an adult, because you couldn't be reasonable, and you couldn't have a little bit of love and forgiveness in your heart for some different things, or understand people, or even learn how to communicate, that's now going to turn around and bite you in the butt. And that's the same thing that happened before. See, if we knew, half these people would stay in our mind. If we knew them, we're given the resources. One, put your child in a trust. Do you know if you put your child in a trust, CPS can't touch them?
No, that's not necessarily true. There's not a lot of
international trusts. Because international trusts, there are certain international trusts that we are finding out on research that no matter what the U.S. courts say, you don't get it because they don't answer to them. They're not subservient to that court. There's a lot of research. Now, listen, I'm not saying it's absolutely true, but I'm saying it's something to go down. And what I'm seeing, it's holding a whole lot of weight, which I'm finding out a lot of the very wealthy people do the same damn thing. You wonder why their kids ain't taken. You know why? They put them in a trust and an offshore account. The same thing with all their assets and everything else. Can't touch them. Well, the court says you got to do this and that. Trusts don't answer to that, nor does the things that control the trust, because then it's on an international court, and the international court doesn't take and deal with those type of things. There's a lot to do with these treaties and other things that were done. They're stacked pretty deep. And to be honest with you, the average CPS or CPS and the rest of them ain't that damn smart to even do what they're doing now. They sure as hell ain't going to do international law, let alone international trust law. Because as soon as they come into a civil court, hey, wait a minute, this is international trust. What does that mean? Local court doesn't have jurisdiction. That's federal. See, there's the first thing right there that they get them on. You can't adjudicate this. You don't have jurisdiction. See, there's a lot of things to this that makes a lot of sense because that's absolutely true. If it's international trust, your local state courts, your administrative law judges has zero jurisdiction. It's an automatic federal. You can't, Your Honor, that they're in international trust, which means you don't have that. You don't have jurisdiction. This is a federal court matter, which is the way it's supposed to be anyway. Because any case that turns around to where the state is a party, according to the Constitution, is supposed to be federal. But now you've tied their hands with trust law. But the problem is when they go to attack that, now you not only have the United States taking and enforcing that, you have international authorities coming in and enforcing that according to their treaties.
Somebody's asking what an international trust is.
It's similar to a trust here in the United States, only it's based off of treaties. In other words, it used to be the safest place you could ever put your money or put anything in was Switzerland. We've negotiated different trusts. Now, it's not like that. There's one that is partly British, and there's a couple of others that I think are in Peru. You'll see a lot of those others in other countries. You can set those up internationally as a trust, and they can structure them to receive payments, the whole 9 yards as a LLC. So the trust would own the LLC, okay, like it's a business entity, and then they'll actually deal with you the way they're supposed to is commercially, but they have to follow the commercial laws. I'm an LLC. Nope, those kids are part of the trust, which is part of this, which is also this LLC. And you can assign an LLC to insure or defend the trust, even on this in here as well as international waters. There's a lot that comes down to this. That why do you think that well, let's put Ukraine for example, and there was a lot of trusts in Ukraine. Oh, you're connecting the dots now, aren't you? And they're insulated. You can't get to them because they don't answer because they're independent and there's no treaties. They have to do it on a financial basis. It has to be a financial conglomerate that goes with it. And if there's not one, there's people that, I wouldn't put one in there because trust in China, not real good. I mean, but they do offer them. But trust law is above contract law. Oh, which is even above constitutional law. So you can put some stuff in trust laws that are even unconstitutional because it's above that and it's in a different thing. This is why they insulate themselves, and this is why you have to study some of the people that do this stuff. As they say, the Rockefellers and some of the other families and that. You wonder how they get away with half the stuff they do. They're intelligent. They know where to file. They know what to do. They know how to take care of it. They know how to be a part to work within the system, but not be part of the system and truly be free. And that's the thing they don't want us to figure out, which is why, like I said, a lot of this has to do with it, and it's very in-depth. It's very complicated. People say, well, it shouldn't be like that. It should be born free. No. Because you realize before those kids are even born in some of those different things and stuff like that in those very wealthy families, they're protected before they're even born. There's a clause in there. Any children born of this bloodline, it's a bloodline trust. Did you know the English, the royal family has those? There's something to do with that bloodline. That's why they keep it pure. Or when they come in, any children that come off that bloodline, what is now part of that trust? This is how they've done it, even back when there were kings and knights, and there was ways of doing things they don't want you to know about. But see, when you do figure them out, you figure, oh, I can do that. Well, yeah, like I said, they did it for the longest time because Switzerland and people ran to Switzerland a lot. Swiss bank accounts, you guys always heard of those. Oh, you put your money in a Swiss bank account, it's protected. Nope, not anymore. There's stuff in the Cayman Islands. I think the Cayman Islands has still got some trust and stuff like that that doesn't have there to where not even the FBI or the DOJ can even touch the money. They can't go after it. I mean, their funds, their properties, everything else, they can't deal with it. I mean, it's still theirs, but there's a lot to it. And once again, they have derived something, the core of everything, though, that everything they've put their stock in on this side of the thing is child trafficking and children's services, because it's so deeply rooted. Because Social Security is in there. Like, you can't, it's funded. It's just the way it is. And you know why it's always running out and everything else? Title IV has drained it. You wonder why it's going broke, and they say Social Security is going to be broke and this and that. Look at what Title IV pulls out every year versus what goes in. No. And that wasn't even supposed to be there. Even I believe it's what is it, Title IV-D, Tiff? The child support.
Yep, 4D.
Okay, that was for people that didn't pay recovery funds when they couldn't come to a contract or missed a payment, and then the state had to step in because the private contract was not working. And here's where the court systems take and fail everybody, because they force you to do that instead of saying, I have a private contract, and it goes in your divorce decree. If you can take and agree with both of you, which is supposed to be mediation, this is what we agree. Now, some of those laws are a little bit outdated because our country has changed. It used to be that women were all the time stuck at home. Tiff can tell you that. And now they can go out and earn and this and that. And, you get a lot of people throw this out there that, well, women didn't get their credit cards or anything else till the 1970s and this and that. Yeah, but they never had to pay the bill. It was always the husband's responsibility. It was on the husband's credit. It was on that. And yes, when she came forward, it was in his name and on his credit. That's the way it used to be structured. And the misconception of, well, women got the right to vote, that is such a farce and a mislie, a misconstrued lie. It was on land ownership. And with land ownership came the right to vote. It had nothing to do with voting. It had the right to do with land ownership. Voting they went hand in hand. But you never hear anything about the land ownership part, do you, Tiff?
No, and in fact, not many women own land. They inherited the land.
Mm-hmm.
But then if they got married, ironically, the land transferred from her to her husband.
Mm-hmm. And they had a joint merger, like a business, which is the way the courts look at it nowadays. Premarital assets. What do they call them? Assets. Because it's a business word. Versus when you get divorced,
marriage is a contract.
Which is why they don't acknowledge, in a lot of states, don't acknowledge common law marriage.
Yeah, I think
there's no
only one state left that acknowledges common law. And I think it's Hawaii.
Now, and here's the other thing. It would take one lawsuit to end it. You'd have to. Because if you don't acknowledge common law, you don't acknowledge, the Constitution. The Constitution is common law. When you go into a federal courtroom, you're going into a common law court, especially in 1983 or civil rights, because it's common law. The Constitution was written under common law. So when people freak out, oh my gosh, I got to go to the federal courtroom and I've got to do all this and this and that, you realize you're going into a common law court, not a legalese, statutes and codes court, right? And they flip out. No, the rules are completely. Why is it so different? It's not different. Actually, it predates everything from statutes and codes. Statutes and codes came later, and they were meant for commercial only. And that's why they've tricked everybody, like what you were saying with the marriage license, that we don't acknowledge it and this and that, because they've got no control over it. They can't adjudicate. A state can't adjudicate over a common law because you'd have to
I
go to
will
a
tell
federal
you,
court.
if people read some of the states' common law, marriage law, before they got rid of it,
Mm-hmm.
some of them were only 14 days, some of them were 6 months,
Mm-hmm.
some of them were a year. So if you did not know that if you were with somebody for 14 days, you are now legally married to them and you're
Mm-hmm.
ready to leave, you're screwed.
Yeah. Now, Purple Pros, I get you saying it doesn't matter. We need solutions, not what ifs. It's not what ifs. This is all connected how the system became to be. And you have to understand the history to go after it today. This is why everybody wants the quick solutions. I don't want that. I just want the answers. No, you have to understand how the math equation comes together. Show your work, so to speak.
Well, not
If you
just
can't
that.
show your work,
Well, it's not just that. Because if we don't find the problems, we're just going to keep repeating it because that's what history does, because we don't learn from it.
mm-hmm. And if you truly knew your history, let's put it this way. If you truly knew your history when they were coming to the door to take your kids, even with the police officers and everything else, I have a court order from a state judge. You would have had your rifle or shotgun or pistol in their face. And as soon as they crossed the threshold of your house, you would have took care of business. But you didn't know that at the time, did you? Because you have a constitutional right. The federal courts have already ruled of constitutional issues within families. And if there's constitutional issues with the family, in other words, it's protected under the Constitution, no state has jurisdiction. You're looking at criminals, and they're convincing you to do it passively. Passively. And I've heard this too. You've got to learn to articulate and speak their language. If you're going into a state appellate court and you do one to where it does have no oral arguments, and you can select that through there because we're going through the appellate process ourselves, and it's a shoe-in. I mean, with what we have, our case will be overturned. And that's going to change everything in the reckoning. And as we move forward in a lot of these movements of we're going forward, but the way our case is structured in our federal case, we're attacking policies and procedures, not just going after the actors. That's why our case is so unique. It affects the entire state. Matter of fact, because it attacks our state where we're at, it also is whatever ruling comes out of that comes out of our district, which means what? It affects all states in that district must follow it. If they appeal it, then it becomes national. Now, imagine going into a courtroom and asking the hard questions or getting the judge to address, because you're going to make these questions and the judge has to give a summation at the end of the ruling. Yes, the jury will take and do it, but the judge still has to do a summation based on of it and why, and explain why it's legal, it's not legal, this, and that, and give their prerogative on it according to case law, the Constitution, so on and so forth. And it gives their reasoning or their thoughts behind the decisions. When you walk into there and you go through the appellate court, then everybody has to follow. Well, how do you enforce that? There's a lot of case law on this, and they're not following it is what it is. Well, now you have, here's the thing, when you have federal case law and saying it's overturned and these things shouldn't be are one thing. But when you connect it to federal crimes such as treason and sedition or national security, everything changes. And see, there's something that we're going to do that's not been done before, is we're going to challenge how it goes into national security, that a lot of people don't realize. And that's going to be a pivotal thing. Now, walking into a courtroom, into a federal courtroom, when you've got a state case or a ruling still on the state case, you're going to run into something called Rooker versus Feldman. We're not going to take in Rooker versus Feldman is a case in federal case saying that you cannot interfere with stuff that the state is assigned to do. Now you have to argue that because they're going to throw it at you right away and say, well, actually, they never had original jurisdiction, and you have to, and that's the paperwork part of it. Arguments in courts are one thing, but paperwork, let me tell you something, guys, and Tiff will agree with you all day. You may be the first one to get to the courthouse, which is CPS, but if you're the first one to the courthouse to put a bunch of shit on file and file the hell out of it, not just talk about it in court, it's evidence, it's an exhibit, and you bury them in this. Why? Because now you're not just, we'll say the old saying, talking out your butt. You have proof. You can reference the exhibit. Your Honor, you got to look at the exhibit so-and-so. It's been entered. You must do it. Now, your local judge may, and Tiff will tell you too, do dirty stuff and this and that. But here's the other thing. When you go to the appellate court, and you can file directly to the appellate court. In other words, a lot of people, and I've heard this too, you'll have a family court hearing. Did you know that for every decision a judge makes, whether it's in family court, civil court, or criminal court, a ruling, this and that. In other words, there's been a motion, and the judge, makes a decision based off of this and that emotion, or does a ruling, or saying this is what we're going to do. You don't have to proceed forward. You can go straight to the appellate court and appeal that judge's decision because it's still a decision. It's not a final decision. You can appeal those too, but it's an ongoing case, and you can challenge those each step of the way. No, Judge, I think you're wrong. Well, you made this ruling of doing this, but you made off this, and then it's going to come down to the appellate court's going to look at it this way. What's on the record? You guys catching this here? What's on the state? In other words, what did you file in your state local case to even justify that, other than an oral argument? What evidence do you have to back it up to where the judge would have seen it differently? The idea is like Tiff will tell you all the time, get your filings in. You don't need an attorney to do that. It doesn't matter if your attorney has it or not. Piss on your attorney. File. Bury them in paperwork. Because the game is paperwork. 90% of the game is paperwork. And they're not going to tell you that. File it appropriately.
The way to get around the Rucker-Feldman is to not go after the entity, but you go after the private person.
Yeah.
Or people, I should say, because there's more than one.
Yeah. Because there's a different way. And here's another thing that they're not going to tell you. A lot of people are filing, especially in federal court, they're filing in 1983. You're going after them in a 1983, for example, in a 1983, on their official capacities. In other words, their job title and the policies and procedures. That's what it's set up for. The court of claims is for personal. It's two different courts. Remember how we told you guys all the time, find the right court, file in the right court, find the right court. Don't sit there and go after them personally stuff and this and that, because they're going to kick it back and go, I don't understand. I filed everything in my case and this and that, and I'm going after them, in their capacity. This is what the individual did. Okay, how did you connect the dots between that and that was one of their official capacities? Do you quote the code or the statute or something? They fulfilled this code or statute, and this code or statute is now under, yes, they acted it out. But in your 1983 case, you have to then connect it with how it's illegal or how it's unconstitutional individually, not they did anything. See, this is what they don't want you to understand is the federal court system. The court of claims means this person did it and should have known better and should have known their oaths or the Constitution, because the Constitution says, I don't have the right as a person or individual to violate anybody's personal property or their individual rights. That's their personal. In other words, they knew the difference. They should have known, because once again, breaking the law does not negate I'm sorry, your ignorance of the law does not negate you breaking the law or your responsibility for breaking the law. That's what it's for. When you attack them in certain courts, you have to stay. We've said this to you guys, and I guess we should have gone in greater detail at the time. We thought it was understood. Stay in your lane. Each court is designed with a very narrow lane to deal with specific things. So when you bring up other things or you overwhelm them with a bunch of other stuff that shouldn't be in that court, they're going to dismiss your case, especially in your filings. Because if your filings are going after a personal, they're going to kick it back and they're going to say, because you may write in there in both their official and in their personal capacity. Court's going to kick it out. No, you cannot take and do it in their personal capacity. This is not the courtroom for it. And you'll catch it because actually when they bring that back and they do a report on it, they're saying, you need to correct that. You need to amend that. And that has a lot to do with it. If you're saying, the hospital's policy, I'm going after the hospital's policy that violates the Constitution. Well, okay, well, then you can go after the hospital. Then you go after the doctor that the doctor followed this possibility when he should have had enough common sense not to violate my rights. See what I'm saying? Okay, civil or criminal claim. There's your choice. You have to divide this stuff. Civil is recouping financial thing. In other words, there's a financial impact, okay, that needs to be. Now, even if a criminal act happened, yes, there's a criminal claim, but then there's also a civil part. In other words, you've damaged me, but I need to be compensated in some way for those damages. That's the civil side. The criminal side is, once again, the criminal. How do you file those? Number one, when you file your criminal complaints, make it very clear and articulate, especially in states, codes and statutes and this and that, of what they violated within their own codes and statutes. And you can quote the constitutional or the federal ones, and you file it with your state's attorney general's office. You start at the top. Why are you doing it with your local DA?
You should also be using your state constitution too when you're filing these claims.
Absolutely. 100%, because it mimics that. You can enter, here's the thing, you can enter a constitutional or federal stuff because every state's constitution actually has a clause in there deferring back to that every law and everything in this state, and it's in your state's constitution, must be constitutionally sound or wording similar to that, usually towards the end and towards the close. Should you or need to do it? No, actually, a criminal case. Now, listen, this is the way a lot of this will go. If you've pressed criminal charges, and there's an ongoing criminal investigation or an ongoing criminal case, a lot of civil judges, because you'll notify them it's connected to this and that they will delay your civil case until the criminal side is completely done to make sure you're not going back a second time for multiple filings and it was done correctly on what they were convicted of. Okay? That makes it so much, that's a walk in the park when you go into civil case where there's criminal. But like I said, there's multiple ways of doing it. Yes. And you have to file the criminal. We encourage you. They wonder, well, they broke the law. They did this, that, and I took them to civil court. No wonder they never faced any criminal charges. Did you take and go to your attorney general's office and assign it? Because here's what it's going to do. The state attorney general's office is going to look at it. They're going to look at where you're at, their assistant DAs, okay, district attorneys within the counties, and whether or not they can even adjudicate over it because of a conflict of interest. They may have to bring in a special prosecutor or a special person from the state to represent that particular case because there's a conflict of interest. But then the state attorney general's office does that sifting for you. You don't have to. Listen, you can't use it because I went to the attorney general in my county, and they never investigated it, and they blew it off, and they buried evidence and this and that. Well, obviously, the U.S. or your state's attorney's office is going to say, well, we can't use the district attorney because he's already aware of the case. As a matter of fact, that's a crime because he didn't take it. You're supposed to be able to. The concept was file it in your local office. But now we're finding out that it's more adequate and it's proper to send it up the chain so it goes to a different filter so they don't get a chance to bury evidence or dismiss your case. You file in the state capitol under the state attorney general. When you do that, then they analyze it, they look at it, they go through it. And here's the thing, they're usually, at 90% of the time, you're not even in the same damn county as those people anyway. That goes off to, you know, the where your state capital is. And if you don't live in the state capital, you ain't got to worry about it. Your local DA ain't going to get it. And then they're going to say to the local DA, what do you know about this case? Or if you put it in there, hey, I tried to bring it to the local DA and they buried it. Well, obviously, he can't adjudicate or go after it because it's a conflict of interest. But they get to make that decision. See, this is why we got to know where to file, how to file, and how to do these things that's been hidden from us that now we're discovering, especially in my case, because these are the things we're going through. And to prove a crime, here's the beautiful thing. When you file charges, you name the person, you describe the act that they've actually done to break do the crime, you quote the state code that they violated and or the federal code they violated, okay? Then you've given them what's called probable cause. Oh, yeah, probable cause. Even enough to where maybe they don't need anything else, but they're going to confirm it under investigation. But you've already given them possibly enough to go before a grand jury to indict. You realize you have the power to do that, to present enough evidence to indict somebody. They're going to confirm it. But once they confirm it, there's enough to go to a grand jury. This is how the process works. And when it goes before a grand jury, then they're screwed because they're going to be notified you're under investigation, and because you're under investigation, you can't do anything. You're now at home, maybe on paid leave, because these are serious charges, and we have enough to prosecute. We just need to know if there's anything else, because when they open that door, oh, they're going to run down that rabbit hole. Because trust me, here's the thing. When they go after the locals, which is why the locals, fear the Fed or the state coming in to do stuff, because as soon as you kick open that door, all their buddies and everything else and stuff like that, they all start shaking in their boots. Because once you kick that door open, they know somebody's going to jail. And then it's a matter of, then you watch them eat themselves, because they're going to turn on each other. Listen, I'll make a deal. You got me. But let me make a deal because I got dirt on this judge. I got dirt on this. I got dirt on that. And this is how those investigations go. And you know how good that makes the state look when they bust local corruption? Do you know how good it looks on the federal when they uncover state corruption? Makes them look good, doesn't it? Matter of fact, it's newsworthy. Oh, look at the trafficking and everything else. We busted this particular thing, and look, we found 100 kids, and this and that. Who took it? Who did that? It wasn't your local sheriff. It wasn't the state. Who was it? It was a joint federal operation task force on human trafficking. They may have utilized some of the people, and they had to qualify for it, but it's who looks good. Because who looks good gets what? Gets the funding. Play the game. It's a game.
Classic CPS needs your help.
On this recording of denied legal counsel by the caseworker and more. Okay. That's you got to file in the right court. So you're going to have to find the right federal court, file on them. Then you're going to have to file, and you can file in the state court of the codes and everything else. Go under the Constitution, the codes, and the statutes. Find it for your state. Fill out the paperwork and get it to the appropriate people. Arguing things in the wrong courtroom will get you nowhere but frustrated. And as most of you guys have seen in family court, 100%, it's you're not getting anywhere, and the judge is not listening. That's because you're in the wrong court, and that judge is not the end all do all. Why? Because there's somebody above them. You ever see a local judge sweat? You ever see a local judge lose their crap when the FBI comes to serve them? We had that happen right here in Blount County, Tennessee, where the judge covered up for her son that had child pornography, and they were deleting evidence and aiding and abetting, and the judge was caught. Come and got the judge. Yeah, and it was a case out of Knoxville. Son was up in Knoxville, and the judge was helping it out. That's why that started. Then you had the other thing with that pedophile that only got 6 months, and they're getting ready. I think tomorrow's the last day of their 6 months probation. That's all they got for. I think it was over 80 kids that were done over 18 years, or 100 kids for almost 20 years, or something like that, and only got 6 months probation. And all that's getting ready. And now they're looking into that. And there's everybody says, "Oh, well, P Diddy got this and this and that." Well, did you guys pay attention to the news? Because guess what? He did particular crimes in his state. Now they're coming after him for federal trafficking charges and everything now. It just busted loose on the news this week. State got their shot at it. Now the federal does. Understand, it just takes a little bit more time for these bigger cases and federal cases. Understand, you could do time. Listen, man, you can do time in state prisons and federal prisons back to back, because there's federal classifications of crimes and state. It's just, once again, as Tiff says, who gets to the courthouse first? The state got there first on P Diddy, but guess what? The Fed's still there with their paperwork. It's not a joke. But fighting the right thing. And listen here, I'm gonna say this real quick for you, Catherine, Lester. Let me. ChatGPT is a tool, but it's not an absolute for everything. It will point you in the right direction on some things, but not everything. It does not take and negate the fact of good old fashioned digging in the books and confirming everything and stuff like that. It's only as good as you give it. And there's even stuff in case law that isn't even digitalized yet, that's still on the books that you could use.
Right, but let's not go down that rabbit hole of case law.
Yeah,
because case law is not law.
absolutely.
Case law is only good for recommendations or referencing other cases of similarities, and normally it is only used in an appeals or higher situation. Yeah. You can't just go in and use case law, because number one, case law doesn't have to be followed because it is not law.
Yeah, and
the only way that case law even has to be used as a matter of fact and as a recommendation is if the Supreme Court has quoted it, or if a judge in your district has quoted it. And even then, they don't have to use case law. So don't depend on case law.
Yeah.
If you find some good case law, don't sit there and be like, I got case law, I'm gonna win this thing. Don't do that, because that's not the law. People, stop trying to sit there and surf through case law after case law. Look through the books of the law. Look through your Constitution. Look through your Bill of Rights. Look through the statutes and codes before you go to case law. Because case law is nothing more than someone else's decision that they don't even need to follow.
You can get them on codes and statutes, and it's more powerful than case law. And it's 100% because that is the law for them. That's the things they must follow.
And if you do use case law and you're quoting case law, you damn sure better know what that case law is about, because they will ask you to see if you know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. And ChatGPT,
they will ask you.
Yeah, the ChatGPT thing, it's become too much of a crutch for some people. For a lot of people, it's not the same. You can ask it to draft. You can ask it to give you a template. But listen, a template's great, but it's not the same thing. Trust me. It's not the same thing. And they're already picking up, even the courts and everything else, they're picking up on, even finding out that the court clerks were getting lazy and using the damn thing to write, orders and some of the other things in there, and they got busted. Hell no, you get paid to do that. If I could pay AI to do your damn job, I sure as hell would. It's a whole lot cheaper. But once again, this is why we have humans in there. And like I said, when we tell you to go back to the statutes and codes, especially for your state, back to your state constitution, like Tiff was saying, that's where you get them. That's the law. Those are the rules. Case law is just somebody's opinion based off of what was presented. It may be similar, once again, but it's not the same thing of pointing out to the exact code. When you can go back to You violate a code and statute and this and this and this and that and all that stuff that's in there, regardless of policy. Policy and procedure don't mean shit when it comes to codes. Nothing. It don't mean jack. But they have to follow those codes if they are mandatory. Those are mandatory things you must do, which is why I tell you guys very confidently with our appeal, especially in our appeal, they broke a huge major code. Code 24-7-123 of Tennessee Code. It was a must. It's filed under how to enter evidence. There's one rule. But it's also due process where you have a right to face your accuser that never happened, and it's also a standard. It's something. It's listed as a standard code. You must meet this, non-negotiable. So when I say pretty confidently, "Oh, how do you know this and that?" Because you've got to understand the code. The code says this is a standard.
Check this out. So I'm reading through what stare decisis is right now. And it's going on, and that's the decisions that have been in the past that they need to rule on, by precedents and so on and so forth, which still, again, but listen to this. The U.S. Supreme Court creates binding precedent that all other federal courts must follow, and that all state courts must follow on questions of constitutional interpretation.
In other words, they don't get to interpret the Constitution in the lower courts. You have to go by the federal rulings.
But it says all state courts must follow on questions of constitutional interpretation. How many state courts are out there saying that they don't follow the Constitution in these courts?
I can name a couple. Matter of fact, I had one magistrate actually say on the damn record, we don't deal with constitutional issues in this courtroom.
All of them.
On the record, disqualified, treason, violation of oath.
Well,
matter of fact, did you know that there's codes? There are federal, listen, and you guys are going to love this. There are federal codes, even for judges and magistrates, that if they take and violate their oath and go against it, don't follow the Constitution, it's automatically a criminal act and must be reported. So I'm telling you guys, if you've got judges and stuff, why are you not filing a proper criminal complaint with evidence? Here's the code they violated, and this is how they did it. Because you got to be able to articulate not the fact they broke, not just the code they broke. You have to articulate how you think they broke the code. That's part of your argument because you have to justify it. And if you're not doing that in your cases, whether it's a state case, federal case, whatever it is and this and that, you have to articulate this stuff. That's how cases are won. And going back to what Darren was saying, this is why case law, it's a great reference point. But what if they missed a code that you picked up on, or a code was changed during that time period before that case was done, and a new code is in effect? Oh, that changes everything. Why do you think they go back on some of these cases and overturn them? Because the codes have changed. Oh, you didn't know that, or the statutes changed. They've redefined it. They've clarified it even more. Those are the things they must meet.
I got to jump off.
Right.
So I'm going to say goodnight and happy Halloween, and I will see you guys back here on Monday.
Happy Halloweeny.
All right.
If I'm not in jail, I go to court on Monday.
Oh, Lord. The dog's running wild.
Burn it down. She's probably, are you going there with our friend Claire?
Yes.
Okay, well,
Oh,
go get him, Tiff.
I am.
Oh, Lord, those two. That scares me, Darren. I mean, just a little bit.
It's going to be
it should scare them a little bit, too.
Man.
But I think we need to just, I guess, a little bit of the show is just turning around and educating people a little bit more of our court system. And I agree with you, Darryl. We've heard so much about case law, and skipping the whole fact of codes and statutes of being the rules, the rule book, and turning around and going, well, what if they missed a code? Or what if a new code that was written that was never even applicable during that time that is now applicable? I mean,
you need to, that's so important that you go and you look that stuff up. You need to, and if you're going to use ChatGPT, if you're going to use all of these things, you need to make sure that you reference this stuff, because
Absolutely.
there might have been a decision that followed what you're, like they say, ChatGPT will say, for instance, gunner versus gunner, blah, blah, blah. Well, there might have been a decision in 2026 that now knocked out the gunner versus gunner decision. And then now there's a new way of interpreting this rule.
Even for example, my case in the appellate case, the code was updated in 2024. So there was a change. The code was still there, but then they further defined it or expanded the definition of it, and they made it retro. So you guys have got to look at a lot of that stuff that you're not asking. They're saying, well, ChatGPT, well, I told it to give me case law on this. Okay, well, what about the codes that go with it and updated and the current codes and the current statutes and everything else? Because that's what they're going to look at. And case law, like you said, is not going to affect it as much as saying, here's the code that was broke or this or that or the statute, and articulate how it was broke is even more powerful.
So, and then I saw someone on here earlier, they were talking about the Rooker-Feldman stuff. Well, I'm going to give you all a gift that you were all, if you were all trying to get around Rooker-Feldman.
It's Christmas early, folks. Pay attention.
Yeah, and I believe it is Monolith versus Trinity,
right?
Yep.
Monolith versus Trinity. Yep, that's the case.
And that was come out in May 25th, 2025. That's when that was adjudicated. And that came out to say that you can use your family court case or in federal court to get your, because what's happening is a lot of these 1983s get shot down immediately because you bring up your family court case and what went on in there. And it's not their job to adjudicate for lower courts decisions. That's not what the federal court's there for. So people have been putting their family court cases in there, and they say, no, we're not going to hear this because, we're not here to turn this around. But with that, yeah, I want to make sure it is that case law. It was Monolith versus Trinity. Yeah. I'm pretty sure. But what happened is that they had a rule that it is determined that you do need to speak about what is going on in your family law case to get you to the point to show what you're trying to say your constitutional violation was. Whereas before they would shut you down, say Rooker-Feldman, and you don't stand a chance. Yeah. But it is, I'm pretty sure that's
if you guys are proactive with putting this in your original filing, they won't even have the thing to bring up Rooker versus Feldman because you've already knocked that out of the park and addressed it. So now there's no further argument, because then they'll go back and look at it and turn around and go, oh, wait, I can. And this is why, because the argument is still the same. The premise of the argument, you have to articulate it then once again, as it says, and as he's saying, Darren's saying above, as in this case, the same thing. I have to talk about it to show the constitutional violation of this, as the same thing happened in this case. Now you've taken kicked him in the teeth, so to speak, is what is going on. If you
Myroth versus Trinity, my bad. It's Myroth versus Trinity right here.
Yeah.
Got it. My bad. Sorry about that, folks. But I'll give you, there's a great write-up about it right here. I'll put the link in here. So if any of you guys have gotten into these courts and they just blasted you with Rooker-Feldman, even you lawyers, because not a lot of people know about this. I stumbled across this not too long ago myself. So there's a lot of lawyers out there that don't even realize that that this is out there. But this is a great way for you guys to
well, if you're lucky to find an attorney that'll take on a case in federal court against CPS and everything else, due to the fact it is a conflict of interest for their licensing and everything else that they have with the state, because they're actually going against the state. That's kind of an issue I have on that too. How can you find somebody that's going to fight for you that actually can then be brought back before the bar and everything else? How dare you go against us and the state, that they can be penalized that way? And that's a fear of a lot of attorneys have too, even the ones that I've talked to. I don't want to go against the judge. I don't want to go against this. I don't want to go against state. Why? Because I can get retaliated against, and my practice is everything, because then I won't have enough. I can't make you my last customer, or I have to win enough money off of your case. I don't have to worry about my next customer. which is why they charge so much,
Oh,
especially for those that have federal cases like that.
What do you need help with, Heather Key? What do you what forms? What would you? We're waiting for you here, there, Miss Lady.
Well, it takes a little time. There's a little delay on that stuff with them. Yeah.
And I need your help. You read that one, right? Proof my son was vaccinated. You saw the one from Classic CPS Corruption for
Yeah, yeah, I saw that one back through there. You got to fight that in the right court. That you're going to have to take under Department of Health and Human Services and look under their statutes and codes, especially with RFK passing what he has now. I would use a lot of that stuff through there. A lot of changes that have happened within that, and the research that has gone against that, and that you have a right, once again, parental rights over the care. That's a First Amendment issue with religion, treatment, so on and so forth. A lot of people don't realize how quick you can take and win cases based off of religious beliefs. That has a lot of them. So, all of them. She's needing help with all of them. Let's see. I need help. Depends on the state you're in too. Q Angel thinking 1717. Each state is different on their forms, their format, so on and so forth. And then what court you do in. So you're going to probably look at a, you're looking at a criminal aspect and filing that with your state attorney general's office to format that of what code was done, this and that. In other words, forgery. If it was sold illegally while you were there, whose name was on the title, so on and so forth. Okay, she's saying she's wanting to get in sometime. Um, Go to the CPS Breaking News network, cpsbreakingnews.com, and there's a link in there about the show, Angel Thinking. Get with there, and I believe that's who Alicia's kind of doing some of that programming of who's on and who's not with some of the shows, and get with those type of things. And she'll get you scheduled to probably get on one of the shows to go over that, or schedule a time to do we'll call a one-on-one meeting to go with that. But you're going to have to look at property laws, and there are certain laws for RVs, trailers, what they're considered, the property, so on and so forth, titles, how the title work was done, so on and so forth, whether or not they filed a quit claim deed. You'll have to look at the court of records and see if a quit claim deed was done for it, so on and so forth. Those are some research. Research that they can go down was do your the deeds office, the county clerk. See if anybody took and filed a quit claim. Would be one thing on the trailer if you still got the numbers and everything for it, just to see if anything was filed on that or it was adjudicated on, and then you'll have to get a copy of the court records. Again, it's your title, your county clerk, the court of you'll go down to the court of records. Probably I think that's done through the DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles, or whatever it's called through there, and then check and see if the local county or the state has any record of a court case involving if you have the VIN number or the serial number of the trailer, camper, whatever it may be, and do a little research on that. That'd be probably the first place to start for that. Okay. Well, like I said, I usually host Gunning for CPS. So there's a couple things there if you want to get on there, or I'm also on Facebook. We've got a page there. You can like and follow that, and send a message there. Usually it's a team effort. So yeah, Tiff will have a few things. I do pretty good with property and such, like said, due to the fact that I was in some of the contract law, because I was a former business owner and we had to draft our own contracts and make sure that they were legal, and they had to do a lot with property and people's property and liens. And so you have to become very well versed if you're going to be a good business owner with something that, especially with something that's in the trades. But Darren, I think we're coming up on about an hour and a half here.
Yeah, let's wrap this baby up.
She's
I apologize about leaving earlier, guys. I had to deal with some issues at hand here. But yeah, we're all good. We'll be back. I don't know. We'll see what's going to transpire over the weekend. But we'll be back at some point, sometime, something. So,
Roger that.
Catch y'all on the flip side. Be good, everyone, or be good at one or the other.
Well, the children are all so far away. APS swoop team, I rough and took them today, with tears welled up in their eyes. No parents by their side. APS wins again today. Don't think it's the truth. Gone away is their youth, and the empty eyes of the parents prove it. Don't you think for a minute you are weak because they're gone. There wasn't any warning for you to follow along. A caseworker has no soul to hold in check. It's why they leave us parents such a wreck. Don't stand for the hell they created. All of our children they stole, our worst saving. They are waiting at the door for us to save them. We need to stand up for our God and obey Him. He leads us to the battle with a beating drum. He knows the feeling they took his only son. He may be the powerful, our creator. The son he gave to us is our savior. He won't be ignored if a praise is held up high. Those kids were made by us for his endless supply. We are to protect the children at all costs. This game is not over. We have not lost. We have the power He gives us inside. We rise to the faith when it's time. You never stand by yourself. Take God off the shelf and then draw the power you need to beat it, beat it. Draw the power you need to beat it, beat it. When Tiff and the Punisher are hosting their show, rally around them, let's get up and go. They give us the strength to fight for our rights. Tiff and the Punisher are here to give you strength. We want you to get in the fight. Your kids will never say goodnight without you in their side. As long as Tiff and the Punisher have something to say, don't give up. We are all here for your strength. Your Lord high in the sky. Tiff and the Punisher by your side. And your kids wait patiently for you to arrive. Don't give up
We know it's all about the money, we know they lie, we know this is corruption. Does CPS know what they are doing to the children?
Our courts are contaminated with young, inexperienced caseworkers and polluted with bribes, high-priced bonuses for speedy adoption of terminated parents, and judges who don't practice law with the Constitution in their sights. This is a problem.
They take away the fathers, leaving just a mom and cubs. They know that with that out the way, the better things will go. Breaking apart the family, destroying the American way. Our legacy is built upon our families of yesterday. Fuck CPS, fuck what they doing. Fuck CPS, they need to be ruined. It's all about the division of family services. You hear that the division is what they about. They prey upon the family, the ones that the dad's been kicked out. We can't stand for this abomination. This is the song that needs to play across our once great nation, making us aware of the problem. Stealing our kids, it's not mama drama. Stand up for those who are lost to them. We need to fight for the family, making America great again. CPS comes along with the mission to protect. The only thing they are doing is cashing in those checks, paid for by the souls of the children, diagnosed by a caseworker who is still a baby herself. They take away the fathers, leaving just the mom and cubs. They know that with that out the way, the better things will go. Breaking apart the family, destroying the American way. Our legacy is built upon our families of yesterday. Fuck CPS, fuck what they doing. Fuck CPS, they need to be ruined. It's all about the division of family services. You hear that the division, that's what they about. They prey upon the family, the ones that the dad's been kicked out. We can't stand for this abomination. This is the song that needs to play across our once great nation, making us aware of the problem. Stealing our kids, it's not mama drama. Stand up for those who are lost to them. We need to fight for the family, making America great again.
Imagine being a child who has been torn away from their security blanket, their parents, the ones who stop the boogeyman from terrorizing the nights and curing their boo-boos when they scrape their knees. Now just imagine how they mightest feel when the CPS meant to protect them tears them away from their supposed abusers and places them with strangers who have zero comforting skills. They need to be calm. They are confused, lost, panicked, and needing their parents, but CPS took them away for the purpose of saving them. The kids don't even know why, and they are told that the parents they attach to no longer want them. What do you think that does? Do you think that this is how protecting children is supposed to look? Abolish CPS.